Good morning to all. My name is Dr. Anisha from the Department of Physiology. Today's topic is erythrocytes, electronic microscopic structure, and osmotic fragility. So, before starting off the lecture, I would like to give an introduction about RBCs. RBCs, also known as erythrocytes, are the disc-like cells present in the body, which are mainly responsible for delivering oxygen to the body tissues. So, RBC's main job is to deliver oxygen to the body tissues uh, through lungs. Now, RBC has a very important biomolecule, hemoglobin, in it. It has abundant hemoglobin stored in it, which is mainly responsible for delivering oxygen throughout the body. Now, then comes a bit about its cell organelles. Now, RBC does not have much of cell organelles and nucleus because it has to give its maximum of space to hemoglobin for hemoglobin's storage. So that's why it lacks most of the cell organelles and nucleus. Then comes its site of formation. Now, basic is it is formed in bone marrow, stored in spleen, and also destroyed in spleen. So after it completes its lifespan, it is destroyed in spleen. Then, to start off with the lecture now, describe the electronic microscopic structure of erythrocyte and their osmotic fragility. The learning objectives: at the end of the class, students should be able to give the shape of red cell and normal red cell count, list the functions of red cells, appreciate the importance of red blood cell membrane, understand the red cell fragility, and mention the causes of increased and decreased fragility. Now, coming off to the shape of RBCs. Now, as I told you, RBCs are bags filled with hemoglobin. It is rich in hemoglobin. Now, only just one RBC contains million and million of hemoglobin molecules. So, its shape is biconcave disc shape. It has a large surface area available to transport gases. Now, it very easily transports gases like carbon dioxide and oxygen. A thin part of cell. It has a very thin cell membrane so that oxygen can diffuse very easily throughout the cell membrane of the RBCs. So that's why it has a very thin cell membrane. Now, flexibility: it has RBCs are very flexible. Normal RBCs are very flexible in nature. They have the ability to withstand osmotic changes. Now, this is the diagram of red blood cells. Now, it has three layers, as you can see: outer membrane layer, the inner layer, and the central layer. Now, every layer contains protein. Protein is the one content every layer has. Outer membrane, it also has protein. Along with it, it has glycoproteins and glycolipids. Then the central layer also has proteins, cholesterol, and phospholipids. And the inner layer has only proteins. So it has three layers: basic, outer, in central, and the inner layer. All of them has proteins. Then comes the size. Now, RBC's diameter is 7.5 micrometer in diameter. So its size is 7.5 micrometer in diameter, 2 micrometer thick in periphery, that means in the outer part, and 1 micrometer in the center. So this is the diameter of the RBCs. Then comes the surface area. It is 120 micrometer square. And then the hemoglobin contains just one RBC contains 300 million molecules of hemoglobin. So that is a huge amount of hemoglobin present in just one RBC. Then, as you can see in the diagram here above, here, so as you can see, the diameter of the RBC is equal to around 8 micrometer. And then, as you can see downwards, the periphery, the outer part of the RBC is almost 2 micrometer. So that is the thickness in the periphery, in the outer part. Next, the lifespan. As I told you, RBCs have a lifespan of 120 days. After completing its lifespan, RBCs are recycled, or you can say it is recycled by macrophages. So that is its life cycle 120 days. After that, the old RBCs are destroyed by spleen, and it is recycled by macrophages. Now, RBC count in men, female, and infants are different. In men, it is 5 to 5.5 million per cubic mm of blood. In female, it is 4.5 to 5 million per cubic mm of blood. In infants, it is 6 to 7 million per cubic mm of blood. Then comes the Rolex formation. Now, what is Rolex formation? In our circulation, uh, when RBC when in our circulation inside our body, they don't tend to attract each other. They move freely in the circulation. But as soon as they come out of the body, as in the peripheral smear, for example, in the peripheral smear, they tend to attract each other. They tend to attract each other and pile up on each other like a coin. So they like form a clump, you can say, or pile up on each other like a coin and make a big substance. So that is known as Rolex formation. Now, fibrinogen and globulin play a important role in it. Now, fibrinogen is a protein that reacts with sialic acid of RBCs on the surface and tends to form Rolex. So, mainly fibrinogen is responsible for Rolex formation of RBCs outside the body. Now, this also favors sedimentation of RBCs. Now, sedimentation is nothing but when solid particles tend to settle down against the barrier in a fluid or a solution. So against the barrier they settle down. So just like that, RBCs will also settle down in a solution or a fluid. That is known as sedimentation. So Rolex formation also favors sedimentation of RBCs. Now, RBC membrane, cell membrane. Now, cell membrane is mainly formed by phospholipid bilayer and proteins. Like I said, every layer has proteins of RBCs. Great excess of cell membrane for the quantity of material inside. Now, it can easily diffuse substances or gases from from its cell membrane. So its cell membrane is very like flexible, and it has a easy access for material to move or diffuse. Now, structural proteins, those are three: actin, spectrin, and ankyrin. Now, these are three proteins applied only in the inside of the membrane. Those are only present inside the membrane, and that is responsible for maintaining the shape and flexibility of the RBC. Basically, three proteins: actin, spectrin, and ankyrin. Now, glycophorin, extend through the membrane, contains blood group antigens. Now, glycophorin extends through the membrane, unlike actin, spectrin, and ankyrin. Now, here comes the diagram. As you can see here, ankyrin, spectrin, and actin are only present in the inner side of the membrane, and glycophorin extends through the membrane. Now, spherocytosis. What is spherocytosis? It is an inherited blood disorder in which RBCs, instead of being shaped like a disc, are shaped like a sphere. Now, RBC's normal shape is disc-like, flattened. As you can see in the diagram, instead of being like a disc shape, this is the normal disc shape, it is just shaped like a sphere. So this is spherocytosis. Now, the abnormal protein due to which spherocytosis occurs is spectrin. So this is the protein responsible for this condition. RBCs here becomes very fragile and less flexible. RBCs, usually normal RBCs, are not fragile, and those are very flexible, and here they become very fragile, and there it loses its flexibility also. Then comes the inside of RBC. Now, water content of RBC is very low, as we know, because its maximum of space is occupied just for hemoglobin. That's why most of the cell organelles and the nucleus is absent for it to store hemoglobin maximum. So 95% of dry weight of RBC is just hemoglobin. No nucleus, so as we all know, there will be no cell division, no ribosomes, no endoplasmic reticulum. That's why no protein synthesis, no mitochondria, absence of aerobic glycolysis. Then comes the enzymes. It also contains of enzymes, ions, and non-protein nitrogenous substances. Enzymes like glycolytic enzymes, G6PD, carbonic anhydrase. Now, carbonic anhydrase enzyme is very necessary because it helps in acid-base buffer system that RBC provides to the body. Then comes the ions. Anions are chloride, bicarbonates, and phosphates, and cation is only one, that is potassium. Now, non-protein nitrogenous substances are urea, ammonium, uric acid, and creatinine. Then it also contains glucose and amino acids. Now comes the osmotic fragility. Now, what is osmotic fragility? Osmotic fragility is nothing but to check whether the RBCs break down easily or not, how fragile they are, and how easily they can withstand the hemolysis. That is osmotic fragility, to check the hemolysis level, or to check the fragility of the RBCs. So osmotic fragility is a blood test to detect whether red blood cells are more likely to break down. So in normal RBCs, they don't break down easily, and they are quite strong, and they don't break down easily. But when osmotic fragility increases, it may break down. They can become fragile. The osmotic fragility test OFT is used to measure erythrocyte resistance to hemolysis while being exposed to varying level of dilution of saline solution. Mostly for osmotic fragility test, we tend to take hypotonic solutions in which fewer salt particles are present than our cells in the body. So it has a fewer salt particles in hypotonic solution, and in that solution we put RBCs and check whether they are fragile or not. So by that method you can check the fragility of the RBCs, that is known as osmotic fragility test. The sooner hemolysis occurs, the greater is the osmotic fragility. Then comes the normal range for osmotic fragility of red blood cells has been estimated to include 5 to 45% hemolysis at a salt concentration. So this is normal range. If it exceeds more than 45% or 50%, then the osmotic fragility is increased and the RBCs are more fragile than normal. Then comes the importance of osmotic fragility test. An osmotic fragility test can be used to diagnose two hereditary conditions, that is thalassemia and hereditary spherocytosis. Now thalassemia, as we all know, causes your body to make an abnormal form of hemoglobin. Now if abnormal form of hemoglobin is made, it will not be able to deliver proper amount of oxygen to the body, so that will eventually lead to anemia. Now, hereditary spherocytosis. As we all know, hereditary spherocytosis, it occurs when the protein named spectrin is abnormal. So it causes problem with the outer layer of the RBC, distorting its shape. Now, if the layer is distorted, the shape will also disturb. The shape of the RBC will also change. This leads to more fragile RBCs. They tend to break easily, and they get destructed early, which can also cause anemia. Then just focus on this hypotonic solution. So this hypotonic solution, we tend to put RBCs in hypotonic solution, and now there is no change in the color. There is change in the color due to water tends to go inside the cell. From this solution, now water tends to go inside the cell because of osmosis, because net movement of water will be in the direction of the solute concentration. So water will move inside the cell, and when water will move inside the cell will swell up and they will tend to rupture easily. So that will change the color of the solution. So we basically take hypotonic solution in which fewer salt particles are present. Now just for the information, in hypertonic solution there are more amount of salt particles as compared to the hypotonic solution, and isotonic solution there is just equal amount of salt particles that are present in the body, just that much only. Then further functions of RBCs. Now as I told you, function of RBC, main function is to transport gases, that is CO2 and O2. So hemoglobin helps in transport of oxygen flow from lungs to tissue and transport of carbon dioxide from tissues to the back to the lungs. Now this process transport of carbon dioxide from tissues to lungs is catalyzed by an enzyme known as carbonic anhydrase. So that is responsible for this process. Now it holds hemoglobin. Now if hemoglobin has a tendency has the affinity for oxygen, now oxygen binds with hemoglobin and oxygen is delivered throughout the body to the body tissues via hemoglobin. So that is the importance of hemoglobin that RBC holds. Then acid base buffer. Now how RBCs serve as acid base buffer? When the partial pressure of carbon dioxide, say it increases in the body more than normal, so carbon dioxide diffuses very easily into the RBCs, and when they diffuse into the RBC, it reacts with the water and becomes carbonic acid. So the carbon dioxide, when reacts with water, it forms carbonic acid. Now carbonic acid, what will it do? It will dissociate. It will dissociate to form bicarbonates and hydrogen ions, and in turn the hydrogen ions are buffered by RBCs. Now that is the acid base buffer system of RBCs, and this process is catalyzed by carbonic anhydrase enzyme. So that enzyme plays a very big role in acid base buffer also, and from transport of for transport of carbon dioxide from the tissues to the lungs. It also contributes to the viscosity of the blood. Now what is viscosity of the blood? It is the thickness of the blood. It is also maintained by RBCs. It is also maintained by RBCs. Now uh, एक minute. Now some conditions in which red cell count decreases or increases in the body. Now there are physiological or the now there are physiological and some pathological conditions in which red cell count increases or decreases in the body. Now some physiological conditions in which red cell count increases in the body is muscular exercise, temperature, or in infants, or in the men. Males have more amount of RBCs than female in normal conditions also, because women have an hormone known as estrogen, which is responsible for that provides an inhibitory effect on RBCs, erythropoietin. So erythropoietin is responsible for the formation of RBCs. So if estrogen is having inhibitory effect on RBCs, naturally women will have less RBCs than men, and men have a hormone known as testosterone, which is responsible for a stimulatory effect on erythropoietin. So naturally men will have more RBCs than women. Now infants also have more amount of RBCs than compared to normal adults, because the adult hemoglobin is different than the hemoglobin that is present in infants, that is fetal hemoglobin. They have fetal hemoglobin that is different from adult hemoglobin, and fetal hemoglobin has a tendency for more affinity of oxygen. So if more affinity of oxygen fetal hemoglobin will have, the tighter and the stronger the bond will be of hemoglobin with oxygen. So naturally if oxygen will bind more firmly with the hemoglobin, it will be not available for body tissues, so it will not be delivered properly to the all the body tissues. So to compensate that decreased amount of oxygen to the body, the body will produce more number of RBCs to compensate this thing. So that's why infants will have more number of RBCs. Now, physiological conditions in which RBCs we will see decreases, that is old age, pregnancy. In old age, RBCs tends to decrease. Why? Because in old age, most of the time there can be deficiencies in old people, like vitamin deficiency or iron deficiency or folate deficiency, vitamin B12 deficiency, or they may be going through chemotherapy or might be on some sort of medications. So that tends to decrease the number of RBCs. Also, any bone marrow disorders, so this tends to decrease the RBC count of the body in old age. Then in pregnancy, as we all know, the along with the mother, the baby also requires the oxygen. So the oxygen is divided and going also to the baby. So if oxygen is going to the baby also, the body will start to produce more RBCs, and at times it is not able to meet the needs of the mother as well as the baby. So that's why anemia can occur, that is normal in pregnancy. Mild anemia can occur in pregnancy, so that is also the cause why RBC decreases in pregnancy. Now, some pathological conditions in which RBCs increase. So pathological conditions in which RBC increase is polycythemia. Polycythemia is a rare cancer that is caused by mutation in a gene known as JAK2. So in this, bone marrow tends to produce more amount of abnormal precursor blood cells that function abnormally and produce more number of RBCs than required for the body. So that is polycythemia vera, in which RBC count increases. Now, pathological conditions in which RBC count decreases is anemia. So these are the conditions in which RBCs increase, decrease, and physiologically, and the conditions where RBCs increase or decrease pathologically. So the summary: shape of red cells and normal red cell count, function of red blood cells, importance of red cell membrane, red cell fragility, and causes of increased and decreased red cell fragility. So the red cell fragility mostly increases in conditions like thalassemia and hereditary spherocytosis. Thank you.